Hello, welcome to the Good Morning Seniors YouTube channel. Today's podcast topic name is The Best 5 Vitamins for Circulation After 70. Welcome to this deep dive. This is where we take a whole stack of knowledge, really cut through the noise, and try to deliver the precise information you need to stay active and, well, vibrant. If you're chasing that dream of an active retirement, maybe it's traveling freely, maybe spending hours out on the golf course, or just, effortlessly keeping up with the grandkids and their speed. You know how easily those plans can get hijacked by physical hurdles.
Yeah, we hear it all the time. We're talking about those pervasive signs that your body's internal systems might be slowing down a bit. Things like the nagging leg cramps that wake you up at night.
Oh, definitely.
Or hands and feet that just seem chronically cold, like stuck in an ice box. Or even just an overall heavy fatigue that doesn't seem to lift no matter how much rest you get.
Right. So today our mission is really sharp. Very specific. We are doing a deep dive into the research around 5 crucial vitamins. These act as powerful nutritional allies, especially after the age of 70.
And these aren't just, general health boosters we're talking about. They are specific agents, things that can actually help widen blood vessels, strengthen that arterial architecture, and make sure every single cell gets the oxygen it truly deserves.
It sounds absolutely crucial.
It really is, because past that 7-decade mark, efficient blood flow isn't just about feeling comfortable day to day. It becomes paramount for preventing more serious conditions down the road.
Like what sort of things?
Well, symptoms like persistent, unexplained swollen ankles or that really energy-zapping fatigue, those can be mild indicators. But poor circulation, unfortunately, also elevates the risk of things like blood clots or puts undue strain on the heart itself, forcing it to pump much harder against stiff resistance.
So what we want to do is give you the ultimate knowledge shortcut today. We'll skip you having to wade through endless journals and studies. We want to identify which small, targeted nutritional adjustments can potentially yield genuinely transformative big wins.
Big wins in mobility, yeah.
Yeah.
Reducing discomfort, sustaining energy levels.
Exactly. We're talking about reclaiming those miles you thought you'd lost, revitalizing your system really from the inside out. Okay, let's unpack this fundamental question then. Why does the system, our circulatory system that has served us so well for maybe 60 or 70 years, suddenly start to, lag a bit? I like the analogy of the internal highway system. It feels spot on.
It is a good analogy because when we're young, those vessels are like brand new, really flexible rubber hoses, right? They're highly adaptable to changes in blood volume, changes in pressure.
Super responsive.
Exactly. But time and diet and just general wear and tear, they start to take their toll. Those blood vessels begin to lose their critical elasticity. They stiffen up. It's very much like an old garden hose that's been left out baking in the sun for years. It becomes rigid, less forgiving. And this hardening, which clinically we call arteriosclerosis, it forces the heart to work much, much harder just to push blood through.
Okay, so stiffness is a big one. What are the other roadblocks besides that stiffness that slow our internal traffic down as we get older?
Well, we definitely have to account for several factors that kind of compound the issue. There's the gradual, almost inevitable plaque buildup along the vessel walls. The cholesterol and calcium deposits that narrow the lanes, basically, makes the heart's job harder.
Right, like rush hour traffic?
Sort of, yeah. Additionally, the heart muscle itself can sometimes become a bit less efficient with age, leading to a naturally slower heartbeat in some individuals. And importantly, we can't ignore the side effects of necessary, often life-saving medications that are commonly taken by seniors. Sometimes these can compromise peripheral blood flow as a kind of trade-off for controlling other conditions.
And the most tangible, the clinical result of all this stiffness and buildup is something called peripheral artery disease, or PAD. We hear that term quite often, but just how prevalent is it for our listeners, maybe those over 70?
The numbers are quite stark, actually, and they really illustrate the niche for taking preventative measures. Clinical data shows that anywhere between, say, 12% and 20% of adults over the age of 60 are already grappling with some form of peripheral artery disease.
Wow, that's significant.
It is. And as you mentioned, that prevalence doesn't just plateau. It climbs quite significantly after 70. So these arterial changes, they can either lead directly to a PED diagnosis, or they can cause those chronic, really frustrating symptoms like the cold hands and feet we talked about, or that relentless, disruptive sensation of restless legs that can completely ruin sleep and sideline active endeavors.
That sounds incredibly draining, not just physically, but emotionally too. It feels like we're fighting against natural aging processes here. So if the problem is structural, this stiffness and praque, How can a vitamin, something seemingly so small, possibly intervene effectively?
Yeah, that's the core insight, really, that we gleaned from the research we looked at. These vitamins aren't just about basic maintenance. They can serve as active agents of repair and mitigation.
Awesome.
Well, they intervene directly by fighting inflammation, which we now understand is often the root cause of much arterial damage.
Yeah.
They support the essential architecture of the vessel walls. Think of them almost like providing the construction materials for repair.
Okay.
And they also help regulate blood pressure, which lessens the overall workload on that aging heart.
So we're not just masking symptoms here. We're actually talking about strengthening the structural integrity of the roads, so to speak, and maybe removing some of the traffic jams. It's like an essential tune-up for our internal transportation system.
That's a great way to put it.
And it's aimed squarely at promoting independence, keeping people active.
Precisely. And you see this in the senior community. There's a real hunger for self-care, for proactive health. People realize that simple, accessible nutritional changes can sometimes be the difference between relying on assistance and maintaining full mobility and independence.
Right. So where do we start?
Well, we need structural strength and protection first. That's the foundation. So let's start with the two key nutrients that focus heavily on vessel integrity and providing powerful antioxidant defense, vitamin C and E.
Okay, let's dive deep into that foundation. Sounds like the perfect place to begin. All right, vitamin C. We often think of it just for colds, right? During cold season. But for circulation, it seems it's a foundational hero. I like thinking of it as the collagen factory foreman. It's water-soluble, which means it gets right to work, and it's absolutely crucial for keeping those artery and vein walls strong, flexible, and resilient, so blood doesn't encounter rough patches on its journey.
That's right. And the mechanism here is really deeply satisfying when you understand it. Vitamin C is essential for the synthesis of collagen. And collagen isn't just about, skin and wrinkle reduction. It's the primary structural protein in your entire body. That includes the architecture of your vascular system.
Okay, tell us more about why that collagen boost is so necessary for circulation specifically, especially after 70.
Well, when vessel walls start to lose collagen, they become fragile. They get prone to damage, and the body then tries to repair that damage, often with these sort of fibrous patches which can contribute to plaque buildup.
Oh, okay.
So by supporting robust collagen production, vitamin C strengthens those walls directly. It reduces the risk of leaks and promotes vessel uniformity, keeping things smooth. This is particularly important, actually, for reducing the appearance and severity of varicose veins, which often plague seniors due to weakened vein valves and that loss of structural integrity.
And it improves something called endothelial function.
Yes, exactly. And that's crucial. It drastically improves endothelial function.
Hey, let's pause on endothelial function. That's a term that gets thrown around a lot in health circles. For those of us who aren't vascular biologists, what exactly is the endothelium, and why is vitamin C key to its magic, as you put it?
That's a really great question. The endothelium is basically the single-cell thick inner lining of all your blood vessels. It sounds tiny, but it's arguably one of the most active organs in your body. If you laid it all out, it would cover an area equivalent to several tennis courts.
Wow.
Its magic is that it controls dilation and contraction of the blood vessels. A healthy endothelium releases something called nitric oxide, which signals the vessel to relax and widen for optimal blood flow.
Okay.
But a damaged, stiff endothelium can't do this efficiently. Vitamin C acts as a protector for this delicate lining, shielding it from inflammatory damage. This helps ensure that those crucial dilation signals are sent effectively, keeping the highways open.
Okay, that makes sense. And this links to another key point. Vitamin C is an incredible oxidative stress fighter. What does that mean for circulation?
Precisely. Oxidative stress, you can think of it essentially as cellular rusting. It gets accelerated by aging, by pollution, by chronic inflammation. And this stress directly damages that sensitive endothelium we just talked about. Vitamin C is a powerful antioxidant. It neutralizes these harmful molecules called free radicals. It acts like a cleanup crew, reducing chronic inflammation within the arteries, and thereby helping to maintain smooth blood flow and vessel responsiveness.
And finally, there's a supporting role, isn't there, in iron enhancement, which could directly tackle that persistent fatigue so many seniors experience.
Absolutely. This is often overlooked. Vitamin C dramatically enhances the absorption of non-heme iron, which is the type of iron found in plant-based foods. Better iron absorption leads directly to healthier red blood cells.
Okay.
And those red blood cells are the oxygen delivery trucks for your body. So if the cells are healthier, they carry oxygen more efficiently throughout the body. This directly combats that profound fatigue that's often linked to mild anemia or just inefficient oxygen transport, a really critical issue for people past 70.
And the research you looked at highlights an amazing heart synergy when vitamin C is paired with our next vitamin, vitamin E. It sounds like together they form a sort of defensive wall.
They really do complement each other. We see data suggesting this combination can potentially cut the risk of heart disease by up to 25% in older adults.
25%.
Yeah, largely by collaboratively preventing the oxidation of LDL cholesterol, which is what initiates that plaque buildup in the first place.
Okay, so let's talk practical steps. The standard recommended daily allowance, the RDA, is pretty modest, right? Around 75 to 90 milligrams.
It is. But if you're specifically seeking therapeutic benefits for circulation, the general consensus seems to lean toward targeted daily doses of maybe 200 to 500 milligrams.
And any cautions with higher doses?
Yeah, higher doses should definitely be approached cautiously. Anything excessive, say over 1,000 or 2,000 milligrams, can potentially lead to digestive discomfort or tummy upset for some people.
So should we be looking straight to supplements for this, or can a general multivitamin cover it? Or should we focus on food?
Well, starting with food first is always the preferred route because you get this wonderful synergistic blend of nutrients, not just the vitamin in isolation.
Yeah.
Targeted supplementation is usually only necessary if your diet is consistently lacking or if you're aiming for those higher therapeutic levels under guidance.
And vitamin C is pretty easy to find in foods.
Oh, absolutely. It's everywhere. Just one medium red bell pepper, for example, can deliver around 190 milligrams. That's more than double the basic RDA right there.
Wow.
A cup of strawberries gives you about 98 milligrams. Or a couple of kiwi fruits. Delicious, simple ways to significantly boost your intake without even thinking too hard about it.
Let's bring this to life with Martha's story. Martha, a 72-year-old retired school teacher, she was really seeing her life shrink because of these circulation issues, wasn't she?
She was. Martha lived down in Motivation, Texas, and she absolutely loved gardening. But by her early 70s, she was getting sidelined. She suffered from numb feet whenever she tried to kneel down for weeding. And her legs would swell up quite painfully after any extended activity, ballooning up. The compression socks helped a bit, she said, but she felt like they were just a Band-Aid, sort of a surrender. She wanted a more fundamental solution.
So she decided to focus on the structural weakness in her vessels. And what did she do? Simply doubled down on her vitamin C intake.
Pretty much. She added fresh oranges to her breakfast ritual every morning and started taking a simple 250 milligram supplement mid-morning. Consistent, but not a huge dose.
And what was the outcome for Martha?
Well, within about 3 months, the change was really remarkable. She described her legs as feeling significantly lighter. That persistent numbness had retreated. She wasn't just walking gingerly anymore. She was actually chasing her grandkids around the yard again without struggling for mobility.
That's fantastic.
Her success was so contagious, apparently, that she started a little informal Citrus for Circulation group in her retirement community. Others started sharing similar anecdotal reports, things like visible leg swelling dropping by maybe half with consistent vitamin C intake. That added strength and flexibility really seemed to make the difference for them.
It's a really profound reminder, isn't it? That even a relatively simple, water-soluble vitamin can have such a deep physical impact on our structural integrity. Okay, moving on to number 2 in our quintet, vitamin E. You described vitamin C as the structural foreman. So vitamin E is kind of the oil-soluble bodyguard that works right alongside C.
That's a perfect way to think about it, yeah. While C handles the water-soluble environment, E is the maintenance crew, specialized in mopping up the fat-soluble free radicals that cause arterial stiffness.
And that stiffness is a major issue, especially as we age.
Absolutely. Given that the risk of peripheral artery disease, PAD, roughly doubles after age 70, keeping those artery walls pliable and smooth is absolutely vital.
How does vitamin E do that? Being fat-soluble, where does it work?
Well, because vitamin E is fat-soluble, it actually integrates itself directly into the fatty layers of our cell membranes. That includes the membranes of the cells lining our blood vessels. And this is where it performs its primary function, plaque prevention.
Okay, how does it actively prevent plaque from forming?
It directly inhibits the oxidation of LDL cholesterol. That's the one often called the bad cholesterol.
Right.
When LDL gets oxidized damaged by free radicals, it becomes sticky and toxic.
Right.
And that's what allows it to embed itself into the arterial wall and start forming that gunk, that plaque that clogs arteries.
Yeah, I see.
So by acting as a powerful antioxidant bodyguard right at this interface, vitamin E reduces the very initiation of plaque formation, thereby helping to maintain smooth, unrestricted blood flow.
And this brings us back to the flexibility issue we talked about. How does vitamin E help the arteries stay supple, stay flexible?
Yeah, it's a powerful flexibility booster, largely through its relationship with nitric oxide again.
Ah, nitric oxide again. Important stuff.
Very important. Vitamin E enhances both the bioavailability and the production of nitric oxide. And as we discussed with vitamin C, nitric oxide is that crucial signaling molecule that triggers the muscular walls of the blood vessels to relax.
Okay.
So, better nitric oxide availability means the vessels are more responsive, they can relax and widen more easily. This leads to smoother, less restricted blood pumping, especially during periods of physical exertion or, stress.
And there's a third key benefit, which seems particularly important for seniors. Its subtle clot reduction property.
Correct. Vitamin E naturally possesses some mild antiplatelet effects. You could call it a very mild blood thinning effect. It inhibits the stickiness of platelets, lowering the chances of them clumping together unnecessarily and forming a dangerous thrombosis or clot. It's a subtle, non-medicinal benefit that contributes to long-term vascular health and safety.
And we really should reiterate that synergistic effect you mentioned. When vitamin E is embedded in the fatty cell walls and vitamin C is patrolling the watery environment outside the cell, they create this comprehensive defensive team.
Exactly. It's like having guards both inside and outside the fortress walls. Studies confirm this dual action substantially amplifies the overall antioxidant power. We've seen reports showing inflammation levels cut by maybe 30% to 40% in older participants who supplement consistently with both C and E.
Okay, practicalities again. Dosage and any cautions. The official RDA for seniors is about 15 milligrams, right? Which is around 22 IU international units.
That's the basic RDA, yes. But again, for targeted circulation benefits, a higher daily intake, maybe in the range of 100 to 200 IU, is often recommended in the literature we reviewed.
Now, if vitamin E has these mild blood-thinning properties, is it safe to take alongside common medications like aspirin or perhaps prescribed anticoagulants like warfarin or Eliquis?
That is a critical safety question, and we absolutely must address it head-on. If you're currently taking any prescribed blood thinners, warfarin, Eliquis, Xarelto, even daily high-dose aspirin, you must consult with your physician before adding a vitamin E supplement, especially at those higher doses. The goal is mild, natural support for flow, not creating a situation of synergistic excessive thinning that could significantly increase bleeding risk. Safety first, always.
Good advice. And when choosing a supplement, is there a specific form we should look for?
Yes, generally look for the natural form, which is listed as D-alpha-tocopherol. The research tends to suggest that this natural form is absorbed and utilized more effectively by the body compared to the synthetic form, which is often listed as D-alpha-tocopherol.
Okay, D-alpha-tocopherol. Got it. And for food sources, where are the vitamin E powerhouses?
Well, since it's fat-soluble, you'll find it concentrated in oils, nuts, seeds, and leafy greens. Sunflower seeds are excellent. Just a small handful can deliver around 7 milligrams.
Nice.
Spinach, especially if you saute it in a little olive oil, is great. Avocados are another fantastic source, delicious on morning toast or in salads. These are all easy ways to naturally incorporate this vascular guardian into your diet.
Let's look at Harold now. Harold was a 75-year-old farmer park ranger living in Colorado Springs. What was his particular struggle with circulation?
Harold had spent his entire life navigating the beautiful Rocky Mountain trails. It was his passion. But by age 75, he had developed mild PAD, and the main symptom for him was that his hands were chronically cold and had this painful tingling sensation. This discomfort essentially stopped his hiking cold. He couldn't grip his walking poles properly, couldn't enjoy being out. He felt, understandably, robbed of his passion. He wasn't keen on adding another prescription medication and decided to explore a nutritional route after doing some reading about the role of antioxidants in circulation.
So what simple action did Harold take?
He made a conscious effort to add a daily ritual of E-rich almonds to his snacks. Almonds are a good source too. And he began taking a consistent 100 IU supplement of vitamin E, the natural D-alpha-tocopherol form.
And the results? Were they quick?
They weren't instantaneous, no. It took some time, maybe about 4 months of consistency. But after that period, he noticed a really significant difference. His hands started to warm up to a more comfortable temperature. The tingling faded away. And most importantly for him, his steps quickened on the trails.
Fantastic.
He actually completed a 5-mile loop hike, his first one in years. He personally credits vitamin E with giving him, in his words, his trails again.
That physical triumph, that ability to get back to what you love, it's so contagious, isn't it?
It really was, in his case. His success apparently motivated an entire senior hiking club in his local community. They started sharing reports among themselves, with several members noting they could achieve maybe up to 20% better walking distances after they started incorporating vitamin E supplementation.
Yeah.
That improvement in peripheral circulation just allowed them to enjoy the activity for longer without the discomfort.
That's powerful. And there is one final clever use mentioned in the sources, some people using vitamin E topically.
Yes, an interesting little side note. Some people swear by massaging vitamin E oil directly into their legs, perhaps after a shower, sort of a home remedy. But the thinking is it might provide some potential external support against the visible signs of varicose veins, or just improve skin health related to circulation. Not hard science, but an interesting anecdote.
Okay, we've covered structural integrity and antioxidant protection with C and E. Now let's transition to vitamins that really impact active flow and pressure regulation. Our third key ally is vitamin B3, also known as niacin. You called this one the Energizer Bunny of the B complex family. It has a bit of a notorious reputation for causing that strange skin flush, but it sounds like it's absolutely legendary in the medical community for actively widening vessels and dramatically revving up circulation.
It really is. Niacin is essential because it directly addresses the issue of resistance in the blood vessels. When vessels are stiff and narrow, the heart has to work much harder to push blood through. Niacin effectively lowers that resistance.
Okay.
For seniors, its flow-boosting power can translate directly into combating fatigue, helping to turn sluggish circulation into a more energized, steady stream.
And the primary benefit here, the reason it's so famous, is its vasodilation magic. Just how powerful is this widening effect?
It's highly measurable, actually. Niacin triggers the active relaxation of the smooth muscle cells within the arterial walls. This active widening vasodilation immediately eases the heart's workload. It takes the pressure off. And it contributes significantly to lowering blood pressure as a result.
Wow.
Studies that have focused specifically on this effect have demonstrated measurable improvements in blood flow capacity, often reported in the range of 10% to 20% improvement after niacin supplementation.
That's quite significant. And it also acts as a unique cholesterol balancing agent, sometimes called a chameleon in the research.
That's right. And this is where its power is really unique. Most people know niacin can lower the undesirable LDL cholesterol, the bad stuff, and also triglycerides. But what's particularly fascinating is that it simultaneously increases the beneficial HDL cholesterol.
The good cholesterol.
Exactly, the scavenger cholesterol that actually helps remove excess fats from the artery walls. So this dual proactive action, lowering the bad, raising the good dramatically, reduces the risk of new plaque formation. It's a powerful tool against arteriosclerosis.
And fundamentally, like other B vitamins, B3 is important as an energy amplifier, right? Tackling that fatigue.
Absolutely. Like all the B vitamins, niacin plays a crucial role in our cellular energy production, the Krebs cycle. It assists the body in converting the food we eat, carbohydrates, fats, proteins, directly into usable cellular fuel, which is called ATP.
Right.
By ensuring this metabolic engine runs smoothly, niacin directly tackles that widespread post-70 fatigue and those feelings of general bodily slowdown. There's also some evidence suggesting it helps tame arterial swelling, providing a kind of long-term prevention against vascular disease progression.
Now, the standard RDA is quite low, around 14 to 16 milligrams. But when we start talking about therapeutic doses for circulation and cholesterol management, the numbers jump significantly. We're talking 500, maybe even up to 2,000 milligrams daily in some protocols.
That's correct.
This brings us squarely back to that famous, or perhaps infamous, niacin flush. We have to be honest about this side effect. If someone starts taking a therapeutic dose, they might feel like they're suddenly overheating, right?
You're right. We definitely need to address the flush. It's a very real phenomenon for many people. It's characterized by a temporary reddening, sometimes itching, and a definite warmth of the skin, particularly on the face, neck, and upper chest.
What causes it?
It's caused by a sudden release of compounds called prostaglandins in the skin, which trigger that rapid vasodilation near the surface. Some users describe it, maybe optimistically, as feeling like a warm hug, but others find it quite uncomfortable, even alarming if they aren't expecting it.
So, is there a way to mitigate that flush? And also, are there any potential liver concerns with these high doses that listeners should be aware of?
Good questions. Managing that balance is key. To minimize the flush, the absolute standard advice is you must start with a very low dose and increase extremely slowly, allowing your body to adapt over weeks, not days.
Yeah.
More importantly, experts strongly recommend using extended release or sustained release forms of niacin. These formulations slow down the absorption rate into your bloodstream, which minimizes that sudden systemic shock that causes the intense flush reaction.
And the liver safety.
Regarding safety, while the flush itself is usually harmless, it's true that very high, prolonged doses of immediate release niacin, generally over 1,000 mg a day, sometimes less, can, in certain susceptible individuals, put stress on the liver. This is precisely why medical guidance and monitoring are absolutely non-negotiable when using niacin at therapeutic levels. It ensures the powerful flow benefits are achieved safely without compromising liver health.
Okay, very important caveat. Let's look at our motivating example, Rosa, a vibrant 71-year-old salsa dancer from Miami's dynamic Cuban community.
Rosa absolutely lived to dance. It was her passion, her social life. But her circulation was starting to betray her. She developed swollen calves and persistent breathlessness that had begun to sideline her from the high-energy salsa routines she loved participating in on Friday nights.
That must have been hard.
It was. She wasn't just dealing with slightly high cholesterol on paper. Her circulation was genuinely struggling to keep up with the demands of her passion.
So she incorporated niacin into her routine, initially maybe for her cholesterol, starting with B3-rich foods like tuna salads, and then adding a low-dose, 250-milligram extended-release supplement. How did the vascular benefits translate onto the dance floor for Rosa?
The change, according to her story, was quite dramatic and relatively swift. As her vascular tone improved from the niacin, her legs visibly slimmed down as the swelling reduced. Her energy surged. She felt lighter on her feet.
Fantastic.
She was back on the dance floor in full swing, apparently even leading a senior dance troupe again. Her success story created a bit of a local phenomenon, inspiring many other women in her community to, as she put it, boogie again. They reported not just better stamina on the dance floor, but also a significant reduction in those annoying nightly leg cramps.
That's wonderful, and excellent food sources for B3.
Lean chicken breast is a great one, offering a robust 12 milligrams or so per serving. Mushrooms are good, tuna fish, as Rosa used, and even good old peanut butter contains a decent amount.
So the takeaway is the flush might be a temporary annoyance, but the potential for improved flow and energy seems undeniably long-lasting with careful use. All right, moving to our fourth ally, vitamin D. We almost always associate it primarily with bone health, but the research makes it clear it is truly a circulation champion as well. It seems to profoundly regulate blood pressure and overall vessel tone. And here's the staggering fact that really stood out. Approximately 50% of seniors are estimated to be clinically deficient in vitamin D. That number gets even higher in certain latitudes or for those who get less sun exposure, which is common after 70. This really makes understanding vitamin D essential, maybe not just optional.
You're absolutely right. Vitamin D is definitely the sunshine sentinel, not just for bones, but for the entire vascular system. Its connection to blood pressure regulation is particularly strong, making it incredibly vital for maintaining healthy circulation, especially in the elderly population where hypertension is so common.
Okay, tell us more about its specific role as a blood pressure balancer. How does that work?
Well, vitamin D acts almost like a hormonal regulator within the cardiovascular system. It activates specific vitamin D receptors, VDRs, that are found throughout our vascular network, including in the smooth muscle cells of the vessel walls.
Okay.
Activating these receptors sends signals that tell the blood vessels to relax, effectively counteracting the mechanisms that lead to hypertension or high blood pressure.
So it actively helps the vessels chill out.
Pretty much. Studies have correlated having adequate vitamin D levels with a potential reduction in hypertension risk by as much as 20%. It helps the body better manage the renin-angiotensin system, which is a major hormonal pathway that regulates blood pressure. The result is often a calmer, more responsive vascular environment.
And beyond just pressure, it also helps fight that underlying inflammation that damages the arteries over time.
Correct. It functions as a key anti-inflammatory ally in the body. It helps suppress the production of pro-inflammatory cytokines. Those are signaling molecules that promote inflammation. It also helps lower systemic markers of inflammation like C-reactive protein, CRP.
Right, CRP.
And since chronic inflammation is a major enemy of long-term arterial health, reducing this inflammatory stress directly protects that delicate endothelial lining we keep coming back to.
And it seems to contribute directly to endothelial health as well, much like vitamins C and E do.
Precisely. It adds another layer of support. It aids in endothelial protection, partly by promoting nitric oxide synthesis. There's that magic molecule again, and also by helping to maintain the structural integrity of the vessel walls themselves. The overall benefit is quite significant.
How significant?
Well, some research suggests that vitamin D supplementation, particularly in seniors who start with lower baseline levels, has been linked to as much as a 30% lower incidence of major cardiovascular events like heart attack or stroke.
30% lower risk. That's huge. Now, the RDA for those over 70 is typically cited as 800 IU international units per day. But you mentioned deficiency is common.
It is very common. So if deficiency is suspected, or better yet confirmed by a blood test, experts often recommend aiming for a higher daily intake, maybe in the range of 1,000 to 2,000 IU, sometimes more, to restore optimal levels.
Okay, since deficiency is so prevalent, is it safe enough for listeners to just guess and start supplementing with, say, 1,000 or 2,000 IU?
Absolutely not. And this is a really crucial point for this specific vitamin and for this demographic. Because vitamin D is fat soluble, excess amounts don't just get flushed out easily like vitamin C. They can accumulate. And very high levels over time could potentially lead to issues like hypercalcemia, too much calcium in the blood, which can ironically contribute to calcium deposits in arteries, the very thing we're trying to avoid.
Right, counterproductive.
Exactly. So annual testing of your vitamin D levels, specifically the 25-hydroxyvitamin D test, is really non-negotiable. You simply cannot manage what you don't measure. A simple blood test confirms your status, whether you're deficient, insufficient, or optimal, and allows for targeted safe dosing recommendations from your doctor.
That makes perfect sense. Test, don't guess. And when choosing supplements, should we be looking for D3 rather than D2?
Yes, definitely. The consensus is clear on this. D3, which is cholecalciferol, is the form naturally produced in our skin upon sun exposure, and it's found in animal-based foods. It's far more efficiently utilized by the body than D2, ergocalciferol, which typically comes from plant sources or fortified foods. So always opt for D3.
Okay, D3. And any tips for taking it?
Yes. Because it is fat soluble, always take your vitamin D supplement with a meal that contains some healthy fats, maybe some avocado, nuts, seeds, or olive oil. This significantly enhances its absorption.
Great tip. Let's meet George now, a 74-year-old Seattle gardener living in the Pacific Northwest. What was his particular challenge?
George lived right in the heart of the notoriously rainy Pacific Northwest, a climate where natural sun exposure is pretty minimal for large parts of the year. He suffered from chronic low energy, something he just called his rainy day blues, which seemed worse than just mood. And physically, he experienced debilitating numbness in his toes, which his doctor linked to poor peripheral circulation. A blood test confirmed what his doctor suspected, clinically low vitamin D levels.
So his intervention was pretty straightforward based on the test results.
Yes, simple and effective. He made a conscious effort to increase his intake of vitamin D fortified milk, and he began using 1,000 IU vitamin D3 drops daily, as recommended by his doctor based on his levels.
And what happened for George?
Within about 3 months, he reported a profound difference. The bothersome numbness in his toes retreated, and he said they began to tingle with life again. His mood lifted dramatically too. Those rainy day blues dissipated, giving him the energy and motivation to get back outside. He actually went on to plant a full community garden plot that season.
That's fantastic. A real turnaround.
It was. And his story apparently rallied other seniors in his Pacific Northwest community who were experiencing similar issues. Many reported noticing warmer limbs and a tangible lift in their spirits after getting their D levels checked and supplementing appropriately. It really demonstrated vitamin D's dual role in supporting both physical circulation and mental vitality.
It really drives home the point. Whether you live somewhere gloomy like Seattle, or perhaps you just naturally spend less time outdoors as you get older, checking your vitamin D level and supplementing appropriately if needed is like bringing a dose of sunshine bottled directly to your circulatory system. Okay, finally, we reach our fifth cornerstone nutrient in this circulation quintet, vitamin K. You called this one the green leaf guardian. This vitamin is often the most overlooked of the bunch. Maybe people know it vaguely for blood clotting, but the research suggests it is perhaps one of the most essential for long-term vascular health past 70 because of its really unique role actively preventing artery hardening.
That's exactly right.
It acts like a biological traffic cop, somehow directing calcium away from your soft tissues like your arteries and making sure it goes to your bones where it's actually needed.
This function is truly the key, potentially, to maintaining vessel elasticity late into life. Its role as an artery decalcifier is quite revolutionary in nutritional science. As we age, calcium can mistakenly deposit itself into the walls of our arteries, turning those once flexible pipes into rigid, fragile tubes. Vitamin K, and specifically the K2 form, seems to be crucial in preventing this dangerous process.
Okay, we need to go a bit deeper on this mechanism because it sounds incredible. How does vitamin K2 physically move calcium out of the arteries or prevent it from depositing there in the first place?
It works by activating certain proteins that are dependent on vitamin K for their function. The most critical one for arteries is called matrix galactoprotein, or MGP.
MGP?
All right. Think of MGP as the body's primary inhibitor of soft tissue calcification. It's synthesized in the smooth muscle cells within the arterial wall, but it just sits there biologically inactive until vitamin K2 comes along and activates it through a process called carboxylation.
So K2 flips the switch on MGP.
Precisely. Once activated by K2, MGP undergoes a shape change that allows it to bind tightly onto calcium ions circulating near the arterial lining. It essentially latches onto the calcium and physically shepherds it away, preventing it from embedding into the vessel wall and forming calcified plaque.
That is an absolutely incredible biological detail. So K2 is effectively neutralizing the threat of calcium-induced stiffness right at the source.
That appears to be its crucial role. By halting or slowing down this calcification process, vitamin K significantly helps maintain vessel elasticity. Some observational studies have indicated that higher dietary K2 intake correlates with arteries that show measurably less stiffness, maybe up to 50% less stiffness in some measures compared to arteries in people with lower K2 intake.
And that reduction in rigidity, that improved flexibility, translates directly to better circulatory health.
Yes, directly. Less stiff arteries mean lower resistance to blood flow, which translates to potentially lower blood pressure and definitely reduce strain on the heart muscle over the long term.
Now, vitamin K is also famous for its role in blood clot control. How does that fit in?
Right, that's its originally discovered function. It's essential for the synthesis of several key proteins needed for normal blood coagulation or clotting. But it's about balance. Vitamin K provides the necessary factors for effective clotting when you have a wound, but it doesn't promote excessive clotting internally. It helps maintain the system in equilibrium, ensuring that wounds heal properly while the risk of dangerous internal thrombosis remains low.
So it's a balancer, not just a clotter.
Exactly. And it also contributes to vessel repair. It seems to support the production and maintenance of elastin, another key protein, alongside collagen, that provides that essential rubber band-like stretchiness to your arteries. Maintaining flexible, youthful vessel pipes is really the ultimate goal for lifelong circulatory health.
And the research even suggests a compelling longevity link.
Yes, some large observational studies have found intriguing correlations. Higher dietary intake of vitamin K, particularly K2, has been tied to a potentially longer life expectancy in some senior populations, perhaps by as much as 20% in certain cohorts. This is likely linked to its protective effects on cardiovascular health.
Okay, let's talk dosage and forms. What's the general recommendation? And is K1 or K2 more important for this circulation benefit we're discussing?
The general adequate intake, AI, recommendation for total vitamin K is around 90 micrograms for women and 120 micrograms for men daily. However, this mostly reflects K1, quinone, which is abundant in leafy greens and primarily involved in clotting. For the specific targeted benefit of arterial decalcification and flexibility, the K2 form, specifically a subtype called MK7, menaquinone 7, appears to be far more effective and stays active in the body much longer. The recommended daily intake, often cited for this specific vascular benefit, is typically higher, perhaps in the range of 100 to 200 micrograms of K2 MK7 daily.
K2 MK7. Got it. And for food sources, you called it the green leaf guardian, so we're talking greens galore.
Absolutely for K1.
Yeah.
Kale reigns supreme, delivering a massive 547 micrograms of K1 per cooked cup. Broccoli, Brussels sprouts, spinach, all excellent K1 sources. However, K2 is a bit trickier to get from diet alone in large amounts.
Where is K2 found?
It's primarily found in fermented foods. The richest source by far is natto, a Japanese dish of fermented soybeans, which is admittedly an acquired taste for many. You also find smaller amounts of K2, usually the MK4 subtype, in certain animal products like egg yolks, butter, cheese, especially aged hard cheeses like Gouda, and liver. But the amounts can vary depending on the animal's diet. So achieving those higher therapeutic K2 levels often involves supplementation for many people.
Let's talk about Evelyn, a 76-year-old Boston history buff. What was her story?
Evelyn's great passion was American history, and she absolutely loved walking the famous Freedom Trail in Boston, soaking in the sights. But severe chronic leg aches, likely related to circulatory issues and perhaps some arterial stiffness, had forced her to abandon those long historic strolls she cherished.
I know.
The pain became activity limiting, and it was genuinely devastating for her. She was determined to find a way back to walking her beloved city streets.
So her action was to target the issue nutritionally. She focused on vitamin K, incorporating K-rich kale smoothies into her daily breakfast routine, consciously trying to boost her intake of this green leaf guardian.
Exactly. While smoothies provide mostly K1, increasing overall K intake was her goal. The outcome described was a slow but steady revival over several months. The persistent leg pain eased significantly. Her walking capacity gradually multiplied.
And the result?
She is now reportedly back to leading historic walking tours part-time. Her personal success wasn't just about her own mobility. She apparently sparked a local K for Walks challenge in her senior community, demonstrating how supporting vascular elasticity through nutrition can directly mediate that kind of chronic activity-limiting pain.
That's incredibly inspiring. And finally, there's a great synthesis tip that came up, combining K2 with vitamin D supplements.
Yes, this is a really important point of synergy. These two fat-soluble vitamins work beautifully together to manage calcium in the body. Vitamin D helps you absorb calcium efficiently from your diet. And then vitamin K2, specifically MK7, acts as that traffic cop, ensuring that the absorbed calcium goes primarily to your bones and teeth, where it's needed for strength, and stays out of your arteries and other soft tissues, where it can cause hardening and problems. It's a powerful partnership.
Makes sense. And one last practical tip for vitamin K.
Just like vitamins E and D, remember that K, both K1 and K2, is fat-soluble. So a simple, actionable hack is to always dress your K-rich salads or cooked greens with a source of healthy fat olive oil, avocado oil, maybe some nuts or seeds. That little bit of fat drastically aids the absorption of the vitamin. K truly helps keep those pipes flexible, ensuring you can move freely through life's later chapters.
And that completes our deep dive into this dynamic quintet of vitamin C, E, B3, D, and K, specifically chosen for their potential to revitalize circulation after the age of 70. Let's just take a moment to quickly recap their essential roles. We established that vitamin C is really crucial for structural strength, that collagen production in the vessel walls. Vitamin E offers that vital antioxidant protection, guarding against the oxidation that leads to plaque.
Then we had vitamin B3, niacin, providing active flow enhancement through vasodilation and also giving you that much-needed energy boost.
Right. Vitamin D, the sunshine sentinel, key for blood pressure balancing and maintaining proper vessel tone, especially important given the high rates of deficiency.
And finally, the often overlooked vitamin K, specifically K2, acting as that indispensable decalcifier, actively fighting arterial stiffness and promoting long-term flexibility.
The real-life triumphs we heard about: Martha getting back to her garden, Harold hiking his trails again, Rosa lighting up the dance floor, George reviving his community plot, and Evelyn leading her history walks. There are evidence, aren't they?
They really are. They powerfully underscore the central theme that small, consistent, and informed nutritional changes can potentially lead to absolutely major returns in terms of maintaining independence and sustaining the activities you love. This isn't about striving for some impossible standard of youth. It's about maximizing the mobility and comfort you have today.
Absolutely. Now, before you rush off to your local health store or online supplement cabinet, we really must reiterate that foundational piece of advice. Always consult with your trusted healthcare professional before starting any new supplement regimen.
Couldn't agree more. This is especially crucial when you're considering therapeutic doses, like with niacin, or when you're combining new nutrients with existing medications you might already be taking, particularly anything related to heart conditions, blood pressure, or blood thinning. Your doctor or a knowledgeable pharmacist needs to be in the loop to ensure safety and avoid interactions.
It's about smart, safe self-care.
Exactly. And the knowledge we've extracted today shows that the ultimate goal here is actually larger than just achieving efficient fluid dynamics within the body. It's not just about circulating blood effectively. It's really about, you could say, circulating joy.
I like that. Circulating joy.
Yeah, because the ability to maintain physical independence,
Right.
to move freely, to participate fully in life, that is consistently shown to be one of the single biggest contributors to extended life satisfaction and happiness as we age.
Which brings us perfectly to our final provocative thought for you, our listener, to carry forward from this deep dive. The science we've discussed confirms these vitamins support the physical mechanism of blood flow. But what if? What if improving your physical circulation also helps to unlock your mental circulation?
Interesting.
You know, the flow of new ideas, the enthusiasm for making new plans, maybe just the overall mental energy and clarity you need for the future. Is there a connection there?
It's a fascinating thought. We certainly encourage you, as you explore potentially incorporating some of these targeted nutritional options, after speaking with your doctor, of course, to track not just the physical sensations, how cold your hands feel, how often those leg cramps might be hitting, but also pay attention to your energy levels, maybe your creativity, your overall mood. See if you notice shifts.
What stands out to you today as maybe the first nutritional ally you want to learn more about or discuss with your provider?
Yeah, which one resonated the most?
We invite you to share your thoughts or your first move in the comment section below this video. Let's motivate each other in our Good Morning Seniors community.
Definitely.
And of course, if you found value and useful information in this deep dive today, please give this video a like, share it with friends or family who might benefit, and be sure to subscribe to the Good Morning Seniors YouTube channel for more knowledge shortcuts like this one.
Thanks for tuning in.
We appreciate you joining us, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.